I made the coolest and most useful dashboard ever. So what you're looking at right here is influenced by a very popular children's game from the 1990s. Now I was raised in the 1990s, I'm from 1993, so I definitely played the game that I was influenced by a lot when I was a small child. I was maybe 5 or 6 years old playing this game on a particular handheld device. And you can walk around a nice open world filled with people and monsters, and you can interact with those people. And these people had to tell you things, or they just didn't do anything, or maybe they wanted to battle you. And in this case, what I've done is I've created a version that was heavily inspired by this game, where we can walk around in this tile-based or sprite-based world, and we can actually talk to NPCs, and these NPCs will tell us things about our business. So for example, when we run all the way back to the beginning of our level here and hit the space bar, we can talk to Sergeant Hall, and Hall says, "Halt, nothing passes this gate unrecorded. Ask your questions." And then we can ask questions here from this menu, and we want to know the oldest record that we have. And Sergeant Hall will tell us that the books open on January 1st, 2009. And now we look at the newest record, and then he will tell us that the books are closed on December 1, 2024. Now we can ask him for the number of miles driven, and it's 16.8 billion miles driven. And indeed, I am talking here to the semantic model containing my New York City taxi analysis dataset. This is amazing, and I have now an NPC that I can talk to in a world that I can walk around in. Every one of these NPCs is telling me different things about the taxi dataset. So here I'm talking to Pip, and Pip is sitting by the fountain, and he watches where all the cabs are going. So we can ask him about the top borough, and he will tell us that Manhattan takes the most rides by far. The most common cab that we have is the yellow cab, and we see them everywhere. That makes sense because he is in Manhattan. We can ask him how many zones there are in the dataset, and he will tell us that 262 zones are to be picked up. The 262 zones are available to be picked up in. And the top pickup spot is Midtown Center. That is where most of the cabs are waiting for a pickup. Now, when we keep walking this world, we keep finding more and more NPCs that are actually going to tell us about different things in the dataset. And every one of these NPCs I can talk to, they will give us a few options. And we can ask the busiest year, for example, to Old Corwin. And Old Corwin remembers that 2018 was the busiest year for New York taxis. The quietest year was 2010. The streets were near empty. I don't know why, but apparently Old Corwin tells us that. Then we have March, and March is from the dispatch office. Every cab that rolls goes in my book. Ask away. So we can ask about the trips this year so far, and March will tell us that almost 300 million trips has been done so far this year. Now this year in the context here means not this actual year, but it means this year, the latest year in the dataset. The busiest month, that was October 2024, the busiest month we ever had. And the number of trips all times, we have logged 3.87 billion trips since the very beginning. So we walk around this world and we can investigate our semantic model. Now every one of these NPCs is actually firing away DAX queries to the semantic model in order to tell us answers. And that means that if we update from an ETL process the semantic model during our nightly ETL or an hourly processing or whatever, we actually get new data every time we talk to these NPCs. It's amazing. We can walk around using the arrow keys. We can talk to NPCs using the space key. And you see that this typewriter style text is there, and that we can look at the number of riders per cab. We have about 1.3 riders. Most of them ride alone. How many riders did we have this year? Over 300 million actually. And all time we had 5 billion riders in our taxis. Now, how did I create all of this? It all started when I was running around. I was literally running, usually on a run. I take headphones with me and I listen to podcasts. But this time I forgot my headphones, or I forgot to charge them, so I couldn't take them on my run. And I was thinking, okay, we need to do something in Fabric apps to make it really, really cool. What did I like as a kid? I liked playing Mario on my Nintendo. I liked playing Pokemon on my Game Boy Color. And yes, in the 90s we had a Game Boy Color that was this very small handheld device with these very small games that you could play. But they were amazing, especially for the time back then. I was thinking, well, with the software that we have right now and the hardware that we have right now, these styles of games should be super easy to build. So I started asking Claude, how can we create such a game that is running on Fabric Rayfin and it's looking like an old Pokemon game? I'm not looking at creating an actual Pokemon game. I did not steal anything from Pokemon. I did not use any screenshots. I just told Claude, give me a plan or walk me through a plan to make a Rayfin app where I have a Pokemon style game in the style and graphics of a Game Boy Color that can actually work with semantic models, fire away DAX queries where the NPCs can talk back to me and give me answers on my business. So Claude gave me this answer right here. You can see it on the screen. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Feel free to pause when you want to read something. But basically it's running around how it is going to build up the actual game and how it's going to map the model to the real world. There are some gotchas, there is an assessment, etc. And it was telling me that it would take a lot of time to actually start building this. And I said, well, I think I can vibe code this in an hour. So let's go with one map that's reasonably small, maybe 4 or 5 NPCs at the start. And for interaction, I would do 4 predefined queries in a menu style like we had in the Pokemon games. Now make a plan that I can give to my coding agent. So then Claude actually went to work and built me a data RPG build spec that we then could be using inside Visual Studio Code, building the actual Rayfin app. I was then asking Claude how we can create the map to walk in and the sprites for our characters and NPCs, because the sprites are what's making the style feel like the Game Boy Color gaming style. Okay, so it's these little icons, basically these little figures that are walking around. They truly are the look and feel of this 1990s style gaming. So Claude came up with ASCII with ways that we could then be creating tiles and sprites from text. And the text part is really cool because from text we can generate it with an LLM. So it was then telling me about how we could do the 16 by 16 grid layout with a 4-color palette, because then every sprite will be 256 characters, and they can be written as string arrays, and those string arrays are generated by the LLM and then rendered as visuals by the actual software, by the gaming engine. Or gaming engine, I should say, by the Fabric Rayfin engine. Now, I was just confirming here, so the text sprites will be rendered as visuals. Yes, they will render as visuals. And I said, okay, then add this to the plan. It added that to the plan, and then I took the MD file and threw it in Claude Code in Visual Studio Code while building Rayfin. So when going to Visual Studio Code here, let's go all the way to the top, and don't worry, we're not going to go through everything here. Let's zoom in a little bit. First of all, I told it I have ADHD. I am not diagnosed with ADHD. I use the I have ADHD skill because I like the output that it is generating. Then I added the MD file that Claude just generated. I added that to the repository. So first of all, using simple terminal commands, I created a folder in my repository for this particular app. Then I navigated with Visual Studio Code to that folder, and I copied in the MD file with the specifications, and then I started to tell Claude Code to write the app. So I said, check the data RPG build spec.md, start building the app, and when done, publish to Microsoft Fabric. If there's anything you need, let me know. So there it went to work, and it went to work really good. I think it was writing code for maybe an hour or so. It was busy for quite a while. And then it started telling me, okay, I'm now done with creating the app. We can run it on localhost, but there's 2 things that I need from you. You need to run it on the actual Fabric environment. So I needed to do a login to Azure, to my Azure account in order for Visual Studio Code to publish the app. And it wanted to know what semantic model to point at. So with the semantic model in place, we can then actually start writing the DAX queries and validating the answers and so on. So I've done that. I told it to work with Taxi Data Agent because I've created this semantic model in order to demo data agents, but then again, that same semantic model can be reused quite easily by this Rayfin app. And from there, it found it in my That Fabric Guy workspace, the same workspace as the app. Makes sense, it's now registered. It's smoke testing queries, and from here it is generating about 20 queries, I think, 20 DAX queries. And all of those queries are then being validated against the model. They are wired in, and they are being added to the NPCs in the game. Now, let's go down a little bit, because from here we started deploying the game. I started testing the game and I said, well, this looks really good. There are a few things that Claude Code here is mentioning. Let's see, all right, that's fine. And I've been trying the app, the gameplay is amazing. However, the text was very pixelated. So when we go back to the app, you can see that this is this really low fidelity gaming style that we had in the Game Boy Color. That's all fine. However, the text itself was very low fidelity as well, and it was I could not read it, or I knew what was there, so I could make a guess what the text was, but it really was really poorly designed. So I asked Claude to make the text a little bit higher fidelity, and basically saying gameplay is amazing. However, I want to make one change. The text itself is extremely pixelated. Can we make it more legible? And then it said, well, the text is drawn into the small buffer that we have, the screen buffer, that's only 320 by 240 pixels, so it's a really tiny screen. And then it is scaled 3 times. The fix is to keep the pixel art for the world, but draw the text straight onto the destination canvas at native resolution, so that on my screen it renders perfectly. All right, I was just vibing away. I have no idea what was coding in the background, and there we were. I was now ready to test again. And it worked really well. However, the game now felt a bit laggy. So I was walking around and then you felt that stutter, you know? So that's not really cool. And that was because we had been trying to do a too high frame rate. I asked it to do a lower frame rate basically. And from here on out, we now have a very easy to figure out, an easy to render application that is running in our browser that is connected to a semantic model, so it is updated live when new data comes in. We've added a couple of NPCs that we can talk to, and from here on out we can start building out a world. We can start adding more NPCs, we can start adding more dialogue style in order to figure out exactly what's happening in our business. And we have created basically the world's worst dashboard, because who in the world is going to say, okay, I want to understand this part of a process or this part of my business. Let me open up the game, try to find the correct NPC to talk to, start talking to them in order to find out what's going to happen in my company. Nobody wants to do that. However, I think from a proof of concept perspective, this is really cool. It was really low effort. I'm actually in the process of creating something similar to this one for a client of mine, just as a gimmick, as a giveaway, because they have been a customer of mine for years now. I really like them and I want to give them something cool. So I'm going to build them a world that's styled like this. It will be about 10 times bigger than this one. It will have moving vehicles and objects in it. It will be really nice. But then again, it is super cool for the demo effect, for the wow effect, for the actual day-to-day analyses. Maybe a Power BI dashboard will be a bit easier to work with. But then again, I'm super amazed. I was not thinking and expecting that Rayfin would actually be able to do it like this. I'm super amazed with it, and I can't wait to see what Rayfin is up to. If you are working with Rayfin and building cool apps, please let me know in the comments. If you can, shoot a video. If you cannot shoot a video but you'd like to show the world, let me know. Maybe we can do a call together and I can create and publish a video for you or with you. I'm always interested to learn what other people are building, so let me know in the comments down below. I read and respond to every comment that comes into the channel. I do that personally. There's nobody helping me, so if you want direct contact with me, the easiest way to do it is by leaving a comment. If you like this video, press thumbs up, and if you really like this video and you want to see more videos like this every single week on YouTube, hit subscribe, because by subscribing to the channel, you will tell YouTube you like me very much. The algorithm will favor my videos a little bit better. My channel grows and everybody is happy. I will publish a new video next week. See you then. Ciao, ciao.